Hello, I hope everyone is recovered from Tisha B'Av. There are several Shabbosim, and not that many in the year. They're named for the Haftarah and not the Torah portion. We have a very important Torah portion, V'eschanan, we have the Aseret Adibros and Shema Yisrael. But the Shabbos is called Shabbos Nachamu, after the Haftarah that says, Nachamu Ami, be comforted, my people. Because of the great tragedies that befell the world and our people in the Second World War, the difficulties of the First World War are almost forgotten. In Yerushalayim, before the First World War, there were about 5,000 Jews living there. By the end of the First World War, there were only about 500. And there was a period of time when the Turks were trying to round up all the rabbis in the city. And Rav Tzvi Pesach Frank was informed, the chief rabbi of Yerushalayim at the time, that they were looking for him. So he went into hiding. When the Turks came to his house, he wasn't there, so they arrested his wife. She was a very small woman, under 5 feet tall. And when they made it known that she would only be released when he surrendered himself, he was preparing to surrender himself. In those days, and if you were in a Turkish prison, they didn't give you food, they didn't give you a change of clothing, they gave you nothing, but your family was allowed to visit and bring you food and a change of clothing and so on. And the Rebbetzin, Gittel, let her husband know through the children that if he thought that he was in trouble now with the Turks, that would be nothing compared to the trouble that he would be in with her if he surrendered to the Turks. After a while, the Turks decided that all the Jewish prisoners in Eretz Yisrael, especially Yerushalayim, were going to be deported to Damascus. And before Rebbetzin Gittel Frank was deported to Damascus, her children smuggled her out of the prison in a bag of laundry. And that's the way she survived this. In fact, of all of the people that were sent in that exile, none of them survived the war. When the war was finally over and things were, I won't say returning to normal, but in some way recovering, it starts when Allenby marches into Yerushalayim. When his troops march into Yerushalayim, it's interesting. Tzvi Pesach Frank's, one of his daughters was a very sharp businesswoman type, and she set up a kiosk on what was then two, I suppose, Derech Hebron, the route that Allenby marched through into Yerushalayim. She set a kiosk up there selling latkes, hot latkes, and the troops would buy them. Very successful, her first business enterprise. When the British received the mandate for Palestine, Sir Herbert Samuels was appointed as the first Governor General of the mandate. He was Jewish. And when he arrived, he was on Armon HaNetziv, the government house where the Turks and later the British ruled Palestine from. He sent a note to Tzvi Pesach Frank saying that the custom in the British Empire was that when the governor first arrived, he would, then the first Sunday, go to the cathedral to give his thanks for being appointed governor and hoping that he can carry out His Majesty's government's orders appropriately and so on. But Sir Herbert Samuels said, because he was in fact Jewish and not Anglican, that he would be coming to the main synagogue in Yerushalayim, the Horva synagogue, that has recently been, the last few years, been rebuilt after it was destroyed in Israel's War of Independence, and come there Shabbos morning to give thanks. And there were notices put up in the Jewish quarter that Sir Herbert Samuels was coming Shabbos morning to the Horva synagogue, and all the other shuls davened early, so that everyone could come to the Chorva synagogue to give an appropriate reception to the Governor General. When he arrived, the British understand how to do ceremony properly. He walked the 2 miles or so from Armon HaNetziv to the old city, to the Chorva synagogue, and the British rolled out the red carpet in front of him as he walked there. He came into the synagogue and they gave him maftir. And there had been starvation in the city. There had been exiles in the city. Ein bayis asher ein meis. There was no household where there was no loss, where there was no dead people from that household. And Sir Herbert Samuels had ridden in to Yerushalayim on the 10th of Av on a white horse. The imagery is self-explanatory, I think. And he comes into the synagogue and he's given maftir, and as he says the words, Nachamu, Nachamu Ami, be comforted, my people, the entire congregation starts to cry. We should all have comfort. We should go through the Shivat and the Chemta, the 7 Haftarahs of consolation between Tisha B'Av and Rosh Hashanah, and merit the final Geula, the final redemption at the end of the process of consolation. Everyone should have an inspirational and comforting Shabbos.